Acharya, thanks for agreeing to talk with me again in Goa. I know you have very limited time, so I'll make this quick.
Welcome, Darius.
Yeah. So I guess something that keeps coming up in my mind is, what is this deal with religion? It seems so irrelevant, it seems so childish to me, and yet so many people seem to believe it with such militant fervor and zeal. And I'll give you my example that I remember as a child, my mother would take me to the fire temple, and I used to hate it because it was the most stupid thing I would do, that you had to put this so-called holy water on yourself, you had to go in front of the fire, and then when you came home, the priest would supposedly pray on the fruit, and the fruit was supposed to be holy fruit that tasted better, and it didn't really taste better. I think it's similar to langar. People say it tastes better in the temple than in the house, but then you're not supposed to let it fall on the ground. You're not supposed to give it to people who are not part of your religion. This just seems so stupid, and it just seemed like a cult. And I didn't experience anything different in that temple or eating the fruit, but it seemed like my mother and other people experienced something different, or to me, it seemed like people were just pretending, and I didn't want to go on with that farce. But I've noticed this happens in most religions. Like just now, as I was on the way here, there was mass in temple, and people were standing like this, looking at the sky, and I'm not sure there was anything happening to them when they did that. It just seemed like a put-on social convention.
You called the whole thing childish, and that gives me a point to start from. See, who are we? We are born kids. Kids, immature, dependent, enslaved to their physical tendencies, bodily configuration and habits. That's how human beings are born. Now, physically, it is evident that we are born small and dependent and immature and unwise. And it appears, when you just look at the body of the kid, that in the course of time, over the next 20-25 years, we grow up. And when we grow up physically, we are said to be adults, mature, thoughtful, wise, free, capable, independent. But that does not really happen or always happen in the psychological sense, the growth, that is. Inwardly, we are born a kid and we remain the kid. What is religion then? There is a religion that liberates us from our inner tendencies and inner weaknesses and the inner darkness. And there is a religion that acts as a toy in the hands of the child. Right? So religion is not one thing, but two things really. To keep these two distinct, I sometimes call real religiosity as spirituality, and the common kind of religion that you referred to as just organized religion. So unfortunately, as would be evident, mostly what we see is a display of the latter kind of religion, where instead of religion being able to grant us the benefit that we so deeply need, it actually becomes a continuation of our immaturity. It actually becomes another bondage on the one who is already in so many chains. The presence of the wrong kind of religion should not convince us into thinking that the childish displays of ceremony and hollow superstitions and rituals and practices are all that is there to religion. These are mostly acts of ignorance. You could call these rather as distortions in the spirit of religion. That's not real religiosity. We need real religion. Religion is not just an unnecessary thing foisted on us by history, by tradition, by the priests. Religion is a liberating force. True religion, pure religion. Not the branded kind of religion, not what goes by in the name of religion. Religion is not an unnecessary addition to the long list of problems we already have. If religion is true, it is a solution rather to the core problem that we have. But I understand where you're coming from. Mostly, overwhelmingly, what we see is just the wrong kind. So I understand. Yes.
So you said true religion, not the organized kind. And you said true religions are liberating force. So what exactly is this true religion? Is it the life of the saints? Is it what's its essence? If it's so corrupted today, where can I find it? Or what is it?
See, the essence of true religion is self-knowledge. Why is the essence self-knowledge? Because, as we said, true religion has to be a liberating force. Religion exists for us, therefore it has to do intimately with our condition. We must know what our condition is, and that is self-knowledge. And when we know what our condition is, then we know what to keep in ourselves, what to drop, what ails us, and therefore what could be a possible solution. This process of self-knowledge with a deep assurance that freedom from the internal bondages is possible is the essence of true religion. Pure, simple, direct. This is what true religion is.
Freedom from bondage.
Freedom from inner bondages that we are born with, and the bondages that get manifested in the world around us, in our social systems, in our education, in our family, in our politics. So because they are within us, we see them all around us. So if you look at the human being, inside of himself he is deeply conditioned. The body itself is the primary conditioning. And then all around him are forces that only deepen and aggravate his conditioning. So that's the human condition. And that's why man needs religion. Religion is not unnecessary. As long as we are who we are, we will continue to need religion. As long as the kid is born the way he is, we will continue to need religion.
It seems like such a tough sell, because if you're rational and intelligent, you see through the farce of organized religion. How do you see the benefits of religion if all you know is the organized religion nonsense? So if you see the chaos that happens during Diwali or Holi or Christmas or Eid, you lump all religion as, okay, it doesn't matter if it's X, Y, or Z religion, they all do the same nonsense, and it's better for me to just step outside of this religion umbrella, because wherever I go to find religion, it seems nonsensical.
See, I understand that it's very evident that a lot of organized religion is quite nonsensical. But I also wonder why the same mind, the same faculty that sees through the farce of organized religion fails to see through one's inner farce. We are very quick to deplore all the foolishness that happens outside of us as organized religion. We see that, and we must see that. That's good. But why don't we see all the foolishness that constantly happens within us and also gets patronized by us? If we can see that, then we are truly religious. In fact, it is a mark of true religiosity to see that a lot of organized religion is fake and corrupted. But if you truly have the discerning eye that penetrates through fakeness, that knows the reality of fakeness, then why is that eye unable to look at one's own self? This inclination to know one's own self, one's center of operations, one's cluster of identities, one's inner contradictions. This is self-knowledge. This is the foundation of true religiosity.
It seems like seeing the farce outside is very easy because I'm drawn towards the outside. There's almost no one's told me, or I've never learned how to draw myself inwards. Or when I go to people who claim to know that it's like the fake meditation, the fake close your eyes and imagine you're in bliss, which again seems like another fakeness. So I guess why am I so drawn outside, and when it comes time to think inwards, the only concepts I have are what I've studied. So biology, the heart flows in my body, my heart pumps, the chemistry, the physics of the body. But all that is again outside knowledge of the inside, if that makes sense. So what is inside knowledge of the inside?
When you're talking of the heart that pumps blood and all the physical mechanism, there is somebody who is looking at all this. Who is the one looking at all this? And is the looking proper and pure? True religion has to do with this looker, the observer, the experiencer of everything. You put your hands on your chest and you say, oh, my heartbeat is probably abnormal right now. Who is the one experiencing the heartbeat? Who is the one experiencing a particular emotion? Who is the one having a thought? Who is the thinker? So if you are content with just looking at things physical, whether outside of yourself or inside, then you are at best a rational man who looks at things and who looks only at things. But if you can also look at the looker, if you can look at the thinker, if you can look at the one who calls himself as I, then you are a religious mind.
When you say look, I'm assuming that's a metaphor, because again, to me, it seems like I can't really see the one who is seeing me in the physical sense.
But you do that all the time, don't you? When you say, I am angry, have you not looked at yourself?
To be honest, I think when I say I am angry, I just say it out of habit and conditioning when I feel a certain way in my body. That X feeling has arisen, therefore I must be angry.
All right, let me put it this way. You are acting in a certain way, right? And then due to the presence of a person or because of the presence of a helpful condition, you just realize that you were doing it all wrong, or you were mistaken in the way you were approaching things, and then you suddenly say, oh, I am mistaken. I am mistaken. What does that tell about the inner thing?
That I take its existence as a given?
Yeah, that it operates. It can make mistakes in its operation, and that you can remain happily unaware of the internal mistakes, and that it is possible to see that you are mistaken.
Yeah.
That's the inner worker. And that inner worker remains shielded, veiled, concealed. We do not come to know of the inner worker. But it is possible to know of it. And often we do come to know of it. And that's when we say things like, oh, I'm so mistaken, or I was so mistaken.
So it's the ability to analyze, introspect, and see how we were mistaken, or how what we thought was true wasn't really true.
Yes, it's that and a bit more than that. Because you see, when you analyze and introspect, that's all with respect to the past. Something has already happened. Something in the form of data is present to be analyzed. Something is available and lending itself to scrutiny. And then you sit down and dissect it and analyze and whatever. True religiosity consists of doing exactly this, but in real time. So self-observation does consist of introspection and contemplation, but is also much more than that. It's about knowing yourself right now as you desire something, as you think of something, as you rush towards a particular goal, as you are happy or sad or dejected, as you suddenly feel hurt. That is self-knowledge in its most useful form, to know it right now. Because if you know it in the past, that is, if you know it after the deal is done, the event is gone, then the utility is limited. Whatsoever had to happen to you has already happened. And remember, the role of religiosity is to help you. It is not just an external obligation. It's an inner demand. It's an inner requirement. We need religiosity because we are born fettered and in several ways incapable. However, that is not our destiny, right? And that's the reason why we need religion truly.
So Acharyaji, by real-time self-knowledge, for example, if I want to go to a restaurant, instead of just going, eating, and coming back after 2 hours, it would be noticing that I feel the urge to go to the restaurant, asking myself, why restaurant? Why this restaurant? Is it really the best use of, say, 2 hours of my time? What else would be in that self-knowledge, real-time evaluation?
This that you are talking of, and something more than that. Being very alert to the stimulus that provokes the desire within you. Seeing how the thought arose and drove you into action. Seeing it then and there in real time. That obviously does not preclude what you said. Thinking, analyzing is a part of true religiosity. But true religiosity goes way beyond thought, because thought is incapable of addressing the real nature of our bondage. Thought is way too slow to catch up with the inner mechanism that's lightning fast. Thought is not the right vehicle. Not that thought is not useful there, but it won't suffice. So one has to be incredibly sharp and attentive
Sharp and attentive to what? The impulse?
To what is happening within. Just as you catch with your eyes anything that's happening in front of you, right? You catch with your senses a fly just comes and right now lands on your arm, and don't you notice it instantaneously?
Yeah.
That instantaneous appreciation of what is going on internally is true religiosity, coupled with the deep faith that what is happening within need not continue to happen that way. That freedom from all this happening, this entire ecosystem of conditioning and bondages and compulsiveness is possible. These two together, knowledge that I am in bondage and faith that my destiny is liberation from all bondages. This is true religiosity.
So it sounded like thought, if I understood correctly, thought is too slow to have real-time situational awareness. So I guess I'm trying to put words to what that awareness is. Is it like just a sense, an impulse, a feeling in the body that this desire arose and you catch it? You feel a certain way,
It's something that knows the feeling. It's not a feeling. It is something that knows the feeling. You know that you are feeling. You are not just feeling. Right now you are behind and beyond the feeling, so you know the feeling. And you know the feeling even as it is rising within you, captivating you.
So is this what they mean when some of the saints say, look, observe, watch, be mindful? Is this what they're pointing to?
It is that and beyond that. It's not about being mindful. It's about being in knowledge of, in instantaneous knowledge of what fills up the mind. So mindfulness too is a small thing when it comes to religiosity. The mind is not the equipment, the instrument that can watch really, or even if it does manage to watch, it's a lazy and inefficient watcher. The mind itself has to be watched. When you watch through the mind, then you are watching through a distorted and colored lens, and a lens that cannot have a 360-degree view. The mind watches fragments, and even those fragments it watches in a prejudiced way. Therefore, this very tendency of the mind to watch in a prejudiced and fragmented way has to be watched. It is therefore something, as we said, behind and beyond the mind.
So this again sounds like some of the stuff I've read about in organized religion, that God is all-knowing, all-powerful, you can't, beyond. How am I supposed to know? All I know right now is my emotions and my mind. I don't know this beyond. And it...
No. Right now we do not know our emotions and our mind. It is when we are beyond our emotions and our mind that we know our emotions. We think that we know our emotions. We do not know them. We are emotional without knowing a thing about emotions. We think without knowing a thing about thoughts. We exist without knowing who is the existent one. So as you said, God is all knowing and all that. So there has to be a point beyond our existence, our thoughts, feelings, emotions, and everything that there is to the human life that can look at all this. I don't have a better word, so I say look at all this. That point that can look at all this, that point you can equate to God, if need be, if you are interested. Otherwise, there is no need. Or you can call that point as the true self, as who you really are, the Atman, as it is called in Vedanta.
How do you develop this faculty? I feel like I don't have it. In that all I do is either think or feel emotions.
You don't really have to develop this faculty. You have to ask yourself, what is it that prevents you from knowing something so intimate to you? You say your feelings, you say your life, you say your relationships, your love, right? Your fears, your thoughts. Who else is supposed to know them if they are yours? You live with them. They are your entire life. They are not even yours. They are you, right? Take all that away and you will find you are left with nothing. My body, my mind. If these things are taken away, the me itself does not exist, right? So if that's who I am, how do I manage to not know them? What prevents us from knowing what just kindled desire in me? How do I manage to not know what ails me and why I'm not in a good mood this morning? How do I manage to not know that even as I am sitting over a task, there is something else crying for attention within? How do I manage to not know that I may claim I am moving in a particular direction for a particular reason, but my real intentions are different? How do we remain so unaware internally? We meet someone and we smile. How do we manage to not know that the smile is fake? We argue with people and we feel that we are arguing in a rational way. We think that our differences are objective and hence the argument or the debate. How do we manage to not know that most of that is just personal? That all the argument might vanish when it comes to another person saying just the same things, because the argument often is not about an issue. The argument is largely about the two parties taking up the issue. How do we manage to not know that? How do we manage to convince ourselves that we are rational people? And all that is happening within us, very, very close to us. How do we manage to keep ourselves in dark?
It's a great question. I've never really gone that deep into it. That what is it, because I think I know what I don't really know?
Yeah, that's what. We think we know what we don't really know. And we convince ourselves that we know, because admission of one's ignorance is painful. And that's the reason why true religion talks so much of austerity, sacrifice, a willingness to inflict pain on oneself, humility, an admission of one's real estate. I don't want to kid myself. I know where I really stand.
Yeah. So it sounds like the austerity and sacrifices, that was another thing that I didn't really understand why people had to be so ostentatious in terms of sacrificing milk, fruits, and even killing animals.
The problem is that they're not sacrificing the ostentation itself.
Right. And that it sounds like that's the root of what the sacrifice is,
Yes,
that give
that's
up what's dear to you.
Yes, that's what sacrifice is really meant to be. Yeah? Sacrifice that which is of no value and is yet occupying very prime position within yourself. No, it's like somebody encroaching on prime real estate in the heart of your city. You don't allow the squatters to continue, right? Yeah. That's sacrifice, getting them evicted.
And it sounds like now it's just become an excuse to party, get drunk,
Yes,
do stupid things.
Yes. We said right in the beginning, religion could either be something that helps the inner child grow up, or it could become something like a toy in the hand of the child, and a rather enfeebling toy. A toy that keeps the child.
Because it doesn't ask the child to look inward.
It tells the child you're already grown up. Just as you said that we think we already know, so we don't ever come to know. Similarly, this rather harmful toy, and organized religion, tells the inner child that you already have truth and liberation and the real thing, whereas the child really has none of them.
No.
But when you are convinced you already have it, you lose all zeal to look for it, to put energy into the search, and the search is gone, the inquisitiveness is gone, and the possibility of freedom is gone then.
So I've talked a lot about the bad examples of religion because they're so obvious and in my face. But what are the good that religion has done to this world?
You know, the great Indian saint, Kabir Sahib, there are words from him. He said, "Na hote jo sadhu jan, jal marta sansar." He said, if in absence of religion, had religion not been there, the world would have simply burnt itself down to ashes. You see, man is a tremendous animal. Man carries all the instincts of animals with unmatched firepower in the form of intellect. Intellect that manifests itself as knowledge and then as technology. So we are animals with huge guns and nuclear arsenals. If we have even to this date managed to somehow survive with at least a bit of sanity, it is due to the becoming effect of religion. It's evident what the shortcomings of religion are. It is evident how polluted and corrupted organized religion is. But we do not realize that religion is also, true religion is also the basic source of all goodness. Where does compassion come from? Who will tell you that what you usually call as love is not love at all, and that there is something called true love, which is possible to us? Religion does all of that. So, if there is anything that you see as good in the world, you wouldn't be wrong in calling it as something religious. That's the service of religion to this world. Religion is, again, not an ideology. Religion is not something that you wear. Religion is your very inner urge to not suffer.
And in that way, it would mean that all of us are religious then.
All of us are religious, yes. It's just that
whether we claim it or not.
It's just that some people follow true religion, and others, even with their innate yearning for freedom, somehow due to the effect of ignorance, end up following a distorted version of religion. But we all want to be religious. In fact, every single desire that any human being has is the desire for liberation. And therefore, religion is our first desire. Religion is at the root of all desires.
So it sounds like it doesn't matter what label you give yourself. You could be claiming to be religious, but very irreligious. You could be claiming to be an atheist, but if you want to be free of your suffering and you acknowledge it, you're religious whether you claim it or not.
Yes. See, there is nobody who does not have desires, right?
Right.
And if you have desires, you want something. Religion is to know what is that something that we really want.
Okay, maybe one last question. So what, is there a difference? So I know I've disparaged organized religion, but is there a difference between the founder of the organized religion and the religion? Because I remember reading the Bible and the Quran and as a child, and a lot of it just seemed to make no sense. There were fiery gods, there were taboos against things that are considered normal today. And I'm reminded of a quote by Gandhiji in South Africa. Someone asked him, "Why don't you like Christians?" And he says, "I love your Jesus. I just wish more of you Christians were like your Jesus."
Yeah, you see, on one hand, it is true that Christians are probably not much like Jesus, Buddhists are not so much like Buddha, Muslims are probably not so much like Muhammad. That's true. But you must also realize that true religiosity is beyond the founders of religious streams. It is your own inner urge. It is something very, very intimate to you. Would you say you won't be religious had some other great person from the past not brought those things to you? We need to be grateful to the ones who brought to the teachings to us. But then the fact is that you anyway needed them on your own. And even if somebody else did bring the teachings to you, you still need to go through the long and arduous and very demanding journey of self-observation.
Yeah.
Otherwise, the teachings just won't suffice. So on one hand, it's good that we be grateful to the greats from the past. On the other hand, we must realize that the responsibility is very much our own. Just going through the motions, just restricting ourselves to what has been said in the scriptures, just calling ourselves followers of religious sects or religious personalities won't take us very far. And I'm saying that along with the humble submission that mankind has benefited a lot due to the contributions of the sages and the seers. But still, it is your life, and irrespective of how much others have tried to help you, you'll still need to fight the battle very much by yourself.
So I have to study for the exam.
You have to study for the exam. Somebody else might have provided the textbook. That's all right. And even if you see the textbook does not exist, let's see a calamity strikes mankind tomorrow and all the textbooks get destroyed. It is possible. We are not very different from the dinosaurs. It's possible. We would still need religion. Or would you say now that no religious books exist, therefore no religion exists? No, that's not true. As long as man exists, religion will have to exist. Religion can't be a thing of the past. Religion has to do with our suffering of this very moment. How can it be a thing of the past? How can religion ever be dead? As long as we are there and our consciousness is there, the need for religion is always there.
Yeah. This makes a lot more sense when you reframe religion as honest self-inquiry to stop myself from internally suffering. It seems like part of the human condition, not something that's an imposed outside value or code.
You see, within us we have these two forces. There is the force that we are born with in the physical way, that limits us as a body. And then there is the deep, deep urge to be liberated. Right? The forces of bondages within us can play havoc even with the agencies that assist our liberation. So religious books and conventions are examples of such possibly helpful agencies. Our inner darkness purposefully distorts them so that they are no more effective towards our liberation. And when they do get distorted, then the same darkness that distorted them now mocks them and says, see how foolish all religion is. The question is, who turned religion into this stupid display of foolishness, of ignorance, of everything that is despicable? Who distorted religion to this extent? We did that. And it is indeed very remarkable, very, very interesting that having distorted religion, now we say that religion is a force of corruption. It's like the Ganga emanating from the Gangotri, pure and clean. And by the time it reaches the low-lying areas, you pollute it and you add all kinds of nonsense to it, and you also divert the waters, you do this, you do that, all kinds of stupid things that we do with our rivers. And then you say, oh, see how filthy the river is. Is the river filthy, or did you turn it filthy? And if the river is filthy, would you bury the river under some giant sand dune or something? Or would you rather cleanse it and purify it? Remember, you need the river. And remember, in spite of your need for pure water, you were the one who polluted it. That's how foolish you are. But instead of the spectacle of polluted religion becoming a reminder to us of human foolishness, to us it becomes a reminder that everything in the past was nonsensical, and today we are super smart and wise, and we need to throw away all the garbage called religion. That's how stupid we are. That's how stupid mankind has always been, and that's why we need religion. But even as I say all these things, I obviously fully agree that what we see in the name of religion today is not a liberating force at all. Religion is in dire need of purification. And in fact, if you say that so-called religious people are worse off than non-religious or irreligious people, then I would probably agree.
Yeah. So it sounds like we've taken this thing that was meant to help us, and in our self-destructive way, we've just rebranded it so we don't have to use it, and we can continue in our ignorance. Yeah.
You see, teachings are handed over, and it ultimately depends on you what you want to do with the teachings. You could turn them into something very dead, very ritualistic, and use them as things of self-harm.
Yeah.
So that's what we said. Even if somebody has done a great work for you in the past, it depends on you today how you want to use the work for yourself, how you want to take the work forward. It's your own intention and urge that ultimately matters. Otherwise, of no use are even the greatest of teachings.
Well, thank you, Acharya Ji.
Thank you, Darius.
This has given me a lot to think about, even though thought is limiting.
We'll continue with this at some other point.
Yeah.
So it's a long and very important discussion.
Yeah, and I know I have other questions as well.
Yeah, we'll go more into it.
Thank you.